Hi guys, I'm Priyanka Chopra and you're watching VNN.
Hello everyone, my name is Pragya Devan and welcome to the Weekly Show, your one-stop destination for weekly, global and local affairs. Here are the top headlines for today. Canadian government announces $35 million in new funding for newcomers in Canada. Realtor Praveen Arora talks about important tips for first-time home buyers. India celebrates 73rd Republic Day. And Ontario's Associate Minister of Small Business, Nina Tangri, talks to Bala Menon on the province's gas tax. Canadian authorities believe the deaths of 4 Indian nationals found steps away from the Canada-US border are connected to a human smuggling scheme. Jagdish Patel, Vaishaliben Patel and their children Vihangi and Dharmik died from exposure due to the frigid cold in Manitoba, Canada. Temperatures dropped to minus 35 degrees on the night the Patels attempted to cross into the US on foot. The family was found in a field just north of the border on 19th of January. Their identities were announced by Canada's High Commission of India and later confirmed by Royal Canadian Mounted Police. The family hailed from a village in Gujarat in the district of Gandhinagar, where neighbors say that Patels were known to have travelled to Canada about 10 days ago on a visitor visa. Amidst rising tensions between Russia and the West, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov have said that Moscow will not start a war in Ukraine, but warned that it wouldn't allow the West to trample on its security interest amid fears that it is planning to invade its neighbor. US President Joe Biden warned Ukraine's leader a day earlier that there is a distinct possibility that Russia could take military action against the former Soviet state in February. The US, UK and now Canada have also asked their diplomats stationed in Russia to come back to their respective countries. Ontario's Premier Doug Ford has been caught under controversy yet again. His appeal to keep mandate letters to his cabinet ministers secret has now been dismissed by the province's top court. Mandate letters traditionally lay out the marching orders a premier has for each of his or her ministers after taking office and have been routinely made public by governments across the country. But Ford's government has been fighting to keep his mandate letters from the public since shortly after the Premier took office 3.5 years ago. Despite being ordered to disclose the letters by Ontario's former Information and Privacy Commissioner in Divisional Court, the government continued to argue the roughly 150 pages of records would reveal the substance of Cabinet's deliberation at the Ontario Court of Appeal in September of last year. On Bell Let's Talk Day 2022, a new record was set with Canadians and people all over the world joining the biggest conversations about mental health. Leaders and influencers in Canada and around the world also joined the conversation, including Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Team Canada, Celine Dion, Chris Hadfield, Alicia Cara, Miss Harvey, federal, provincial and territorial leaders all across the parties, local leaders, sports teams, government departments and officials, the Canadian Armed Forces and Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Canada's wheelchair curling team will have no shortage of experience at the Beijing 2022 Paralympic Winter Games, with 3 of the 5 athletes announced today by the Canadian Paralympic Committee and Curling Canada having multiple games under their belts, accounting for an impressive combined 7 total medals. Mark Addison will be skipping the Canadian squad for the second consecutive games in what will be his 3rd overall Paralympic appearance. He, along with returning players Aina Forrest and Dennis Thiessen, took home the gold medal in Sochi in 2014 and the bronze in Pyeongchang in 2018. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has announced that he has been exposed to COVID-19 and will be self-isolating for 5 days following guidance from Ottawa Public Health. In a tweet on Thursday, Trudeau said that he learned about the exposure on Wednesday night, noting that he took a rapid test and the result was negative. The Prime Minister says that he's feeling fine now and will be working from home. Trudeau's announcement came after he wrapped up a virtual cabinet retreat, but TV showed some ministers standing alongside Trudeau during an in-person press conference on Parliament Hill. Brampton Animal Services has launched the Emergency Pet Food Pantry to support Brampton pet owners in need with pet food, cat litter and more essential animal supplies. The emergency pet food pantry aims to support pet owners with anywhere from 1 week to 1 month of pet supplies at a time, depending on demand and donations. Brampton Animal Services has partnered with the local Pet Value and Freshco to help make this initiative possible. Brampton Animal Services will package the items and provide pickup instructions. Pet owners are asked to include details about their pets, such as the type of pets they have, how many pets they have, and their pets' ages. India's Tata Consultancy Services has come to an agreement with Canada Running Series and will be the new title sponsor and unofficial IT services and technology partner of the Toronto Waterfront Marathon and Virtual Race from now until November 2026. TCS replaced Scotiabank as the title sponsor. The TCS Toronto Waterfront Marathon will join other world-class marathons like New York City and London to carry the TCS sponsorship. Registration for the 2022 TCS Toronto Waterfront Marathon started from January 25th this year. Ontario reports a drop in hospitalizations of COVID-19 patients today, but a slight increase for patients in intensive care. The Ministry of Health say that today morning, there were 3,535 people with COVID-19 in hospital. That's down from 3,645 the day before and 4,114 at the same time last week. About 56% of those patients were admitted for COVID-related illnesses, while 44% were already in hospital when they tested positive for the virus. The Health Ministry also reported another 68 deaths of people with the virus, bringing the official toll to 11,298. The Toronto Zoo says one of its cheetahs has given birth to a litter of cubs. The zoo says Amara, a 4.5-year-old cheetah and first-time mother, gave birth early Monday morning after a 92-day pregnancy. It says one cub didn't survive, but the remaining 3 appear to be doing well and have been nursing and wriggling around near their mother. In the meantime, the organization says it will monitor Amara and her cubs with cameras in order to minimize disturbances and allow the animals to born. Amara and her cubs will remain in their indoor habitat for a few months until the cubs are fully vaccinated and the weather warms up. They'll later be introduced to the outdoor habitats, including the main cheetah exhibit, where zoo visitors can see them. The world's most famous female mouse is getting an outfit makeover. Minnie Mouse will soon be changing into a smart blue pantsuit, swapping off her traditional red polka dot dress while keeping her iconic bow. The new look was designed by Stella McCartney to celebrate 30 years of Disneyland's Paris resort. Though this change is temporary, it has been met with mixed reactions online from Disney fans. Minnie will debut the blue tuxedo in Disney's Paris Entertainment Resort from March 2022, where she will wear it in time for Women's History Month. Actor Jason Momoa is in final negotiations to join Vin Diesel and the cast in what is being called Fast and Furious 10 as a working title. And while plot details are being muffled, the Aquaman actor could be poised to act as one of the film's villains. Justin Lin, who returned to the franchise with 2021's Fast and the Furious saga, is back in the director's seat. Charlize Theron is also expected to be back in the franchise. And that was it in today's bulletin. Thanks for watching. Sean Fraser, Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship of Canada, has announced $35 million in new funding over the next 3 years to improve and expand immigration settlement services in small towns and rural communities. Check our next report to know more. Amidst the huge backlog of 1.8 million applications, the Canadian government has announced to invest $35 million to expand settlement services for newcomers in small towns and rural communities. The Honourable Sean Fraser, Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship, announced the new funding that will be used to expand resettlement capacity and settlement services across Canada.
I am absolutely thrilled to announce that the federal government will be investing $35 million over the next 3 years to expand resettlement capacity and improve settlement services, in particular in smaller and rural communities across the country. Now, this will include $21 million for the Resettlement Assistance Program, which helps deliver immediate and essential services. as well as an additional $14 million in case management services funding to assist vulnerable newcomers who need significant support to integrate and have greater independence in their new communities. This includes specifically a pilot project in the prairies aimed at bolstering Francophone case management. Resettlement and settlement services have never been more essential than during the COVID-19 pandemic, which has made building a new life in a new country an even more daunting process than it would ordinarily be. Our government will continue to invest in initiatives like this one to help government-assisted refugees and vulnerable newcomers reach their potential sooner.
The year 2021 saw the Canadian government introducing TR to PR pathway to help immigrants who were already in Canada to obtain permanent residency status. But with international travel restrictions easing out, the Canadian government is planning to go back to its traditional way of inviting people for PR, which involves calling people who reside outside of Canada.
As the world reopens to international travel, and as we have the ability to start processing them and welcoming more people who have applied previously to come to Canada who are currently in a third country, as long as the public health situation allows for their arrival in Canada, I anticipate that you will see a higher percentage of people from outside of Canada than you've seen during the heart of this pandemic, because we don't simply want to focus on people who may already be here. We want to continue to welcome new people who can fill those job vacancies that we're hearing about, who can help continue to have communities continue to succeed by changing the demographic in communities like mine that have been aging up until the last few years, so we can have more young people and families and workers join the workforce as well. So it's going to continue to be a bit of a mix, but I don't expect, depending on what happens with the pandemic and potential future variants, my expectation is not that we will see a repeat of what's happened before, at least to that scale, though I do expect you'll continue to see some mix of people who are inside of Canada and outside of Canada that form the cohort of permanent residents who land in Canada each year.
While the Canadian government is working tirelessly to bring Afghan refugees to Canada, many people are experiencing delays in visa approval and other paperwork. Minister Fraser assures Afghan refugees that the immigration process will speed up in coming days.
As we go forward, we're going to continue to work with our partner organizations who are working to refer individuals who may qualify into our programs to make sure that we're giving a fair shake to those who would like to be here as part of Canada. There's a significant number of things that are posing continued logistical and operational challenges, but we are starting to see people move with some degree of regularity now each week, and it's something that I expect will continue, and we'll be happy to continue to work with this and other groups who are seeking to take part in Canada's effort to resettle 40,000 Afghan refugees.
Canada is currently facing a massive shortage of working population in various industries. Many employers in Canada are taking advantage of the situation and are taking LMIA money from newcomers in Canada.
That embracing our employment programs that leverage the immigration system is going to continue to be a very important part of the economic strategy as we seek to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. But it is essential to me that we work with employers who are willing to respect the basic human dignity of those who take part in our programs. We plan to be working with Minister Qualtrough's team at ESDC to implement a trusted employer stream to get those workers here more quickly for employers who continue to demonstrate good behavior, who treat their workers with respect, and who we can rely on to be trusted partners. We also need to do more to ensure that we are answering some of the questions that were raised in the recent Auditor General's report that pointed out some of the really serious challenges that we as a government are facing when it comes to managing the temporary foreign worker program as part of this pandemic.
Minister Fraser has said that the IRCC is still developing its express entry strategy for 2022. Now it will be interesting to see what new prospects come up for people who want to settle in Canada. This week I chatted with realtor Praveen Arora, where he talked about the do's and don'ts first-time buyers should follow while buying properties in GTA. Listen in. Hello and welcome. You're watching Voice News Network. My name is Pragya, and today, as always, I'm with Mr. Praveen Arora, and we are going to talk about real estate. But today's show is going to be a little different because we will talk about first-time home buyers. First of all, welcome to our show.
Thanks, Pragya. Thanks for having me over.
And as I mentioned, like today in this episode, we will talk about first-time home buyers. And before I get into that, I want you to tell our viewers that what is this initiative you're coming up for, especially for first-time home buyers?
For first-time home buyers, Pragya, because especially nowadays it's getting more and more difficult to buy any property because the prices are going so high, and this is a common question from first-time buyers. What we should do in this market because the prices are so high, it's beyond our reach. We cannot qualify for the higher amount of mortgages. We don't have enough down payment to buy the property. And during the last few months, we spoke with so many first-time home buyers, and then we understand exactly what they are facing in this market. So let me share some thoughts, especially what are the challenges for the first-time home buyers in this market. Number one, the first-time home buyers having the challenge for the down payment. Some of them, they don't have enough down payment to buy the property. That's number one. Number two, they don't qualify for the higher amount of mortgages because the prices are so high in the market. Let us put this way, if anybody want to buy any small house in GTA area, even a townhouse, those are close to $1 million. And if the property is close to $1 million, if you want to put even 20% down payment, that is a substantial amount, 200,000. And as a first-time home buyer, it's very difficult to have 200,000 down payment. And secondly, when they don't qualify for the mortgages, then it becomes some sort of impossible for them to buy the property in GTA. And then they think, maybe the prices will come down, but the prices are not coming down. It's going up and up day by day. So they are the one, those are struggling in this market to buy the property. So we have few suggestions, especially for the first time home buyers, and I can share the process, what they should be doing in this market scenario. First of all, for the first time buyers, let's put this way, they have to see how much down payment they can have. The down payment, I mean to say, the money which they already saved, and on the other hand, what they can do if they have any kind of other expenses like car payments or anything, they should try to minimize those payments because those payments also affects their mortgage qualifying. If they have a higher car payment, their mortgage qualifying also goes down. So the other thing, what we see in the last few months, there are a lot of people, they are not qualifying themselves to buy the property, but then we suggested them if 1 or 2% together buy a property, because that's the only solution we see in the market what is happening right now. So let's say if somebody has a 70,000-80,000 down payment, the other person has a 70,000-80,000 down payment, so they can buy a property together. And then this way they will qualify for the mortgage too. And the good thing is this, Pragya, in this case, there is everything documented. So they don't need to worry about anything because they have their friends, they have their family. So one friend is not able to buy the house, the other one is not able to buy the house. They can work together and buy the property because the title is 50-50 on both names.
So because we are talking about first time buyers, and when you're getting into real estate for the first time, there is always a lot of fear and confusion, especially in Canada. Like, for example, if I take India as example, there is always someone to guide you.
Right.
When it comes to properties, if there is nobody, your relatives will pitch in and they'll give you like 100 advice, like, what to do and what not. But here in Canada, things are different. And a person who's investing such a huge sum of money, that person is bound to get, scared. So what do you think a person should do in this case?
That's a very good question, Pragya, especially for the first time buyers. They have a lot of question about the buying process because they never did it before. I can share some thoughts on that one. What we did, Pragya, we put a book together, especially for the home buyers, what steps they need to take and what are the things they need to keep in mind when they are buying their first property. And if anyone want that book, we can send them, they can contact us, they can call us or email us, we can email them that information. On the top of that, there are so many professional realtors in the market, so they can talk to any realtor. If they need our advice or our suggestion, they can set up time and meeting with us. there is no obligation. We can share with all that information with them. And regarding the mortgage, there are so many professionals, mortgage brokers and mortgage mobile brokers with the banks, they can help them about the mortgage financing. And regarding the process, we can give the idea. But now the other question which I see, especially for the first time buyers, they are not sure in which area and where they should buy the property. Because they just see, oh, this is the lowest price, let's look on this one. And sometimes those areas are not suitable for them. For all those questions, I think they need some professional advice. They can talk to a professional realtor, so the realtor can tell them, what are the plus and minus of that area, how the prices are appreciating in that area, and if there is any challenge in that area. So the realtor can give them all that kind of information.
And because you mentioned that, people, the very first question is like, where should I buy the house? Where in GTA, for example? And in present scenarios, you've mentioned in the past as well, there is low inventory.
That's right.
There are like too many buyers, and they don't have that kind of time to think and sit on a property, because next day that property might not be there.
Right.
So what should a person do in that scenario?
I think the first preference should be, Pragya, they have to see where they are working. Because if they are working in the GTA area, then they should see how far they can commute. It depends on their family structure and their job and their business, whatever they are doing, on the basis of that. So they can see how far they can commute. That's number one. And the second thing is they have to see what is the requirement for their family, or if they are not married, if they are single. Because right now we are getting so many calls from the people who came here as a student and then they got PR and now they want to buy in real estate, they want to buy real estate, they want to invest in real estate. So all those personal preferences they have to see, and then on the basis of that we can suggest them how much down payment they have, what kind of job they are doing, which is the best area and which is the closest good area according to their jobs. That realtor can give them a lot of information about that one.
And before we wrap up, like you mentioned that you deal with a lot of first-time home buyers. So what is that common mistake you can tell us, like, or any pattern that you're noticing among these first-time home buyers?
There are few things which the first-time home buyers are doing, the mistake which I see common in the market. First of all, number one, they don't do the exact homework about their finances. They have to see how much down payment they have, and on the top of that how much mortgage they qualify. They have to understand that number first, right? Because sometimes what happens, they are able to qualify for the higher amount, they are not looking for the right property, and sometimes they are not able to qualify for that amount, but they are looking the property those are higher priced, right? So they have to first of all work out what's their financial limits, what price point they can go for. And the second thing is this, they need to see which area and which location is convenient for them according to their work. Sometimes they get emotional, they are working in GTA area, or they will say that's okay, even if we are getting a house cheaper in Niagara Falls, we can buy there. And later on we see they buy there, it's very difficult for them to commute there. In that case, what I will suggest, rather than buying a bigger property in Niagara Falls and commuting hour and a half daily, buy something smaller close to your work. So that way at least you are not spending that much time on commuting and every day's hassle coming to your work, right? And the other thing is this, they have, because they listen so many things from the other people. Lot of people tell them, oh, don't buy condo has a maintenance fees, that's not a good investment. Yes, condo has a maintenance fees, but rather than commuting hour and a half every day, morning, evening for 3 hours, it's better to buy a smaller property. Even that property has some maintenance fees, but there are some advantage of that maintenance fees too. You don't need to maintain the property. So these are the common mistakes what we see, especially for the first time buyers. They buy the property at the wrong locations and they don't do proper homework about their finances.
I think that is where the realtor, a good realtor, comes into picture, because then you or people like you can tell them which is the right way to go.
That's right.
Right. So before we wrap up, what is going to be your final advice to the first-time buyers?
For the first time home buyers, I would say definitely they should be talking to a professional realtor to get the best advice. What are the good options for them in this market? That's number one. And secondly, they should be also talking to a professional mortgage broker who can give them the right information about their financing, how much mortgage they can qualify. And the third thing, very important, if you are a first time buyer, try to cut down your other expenses which you can. Sometimes don't buy any expensive car, buy any the car, because car is taking you from one point to another point. Either you buy for $20,000 or you buy for $50,000 or $60,000. Definitely, if you have you want to enjoy a good car or luxury car, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that, but buying home you should be having your first priority, because the cars always depreciate, houses always appreciate. So cut down your other expenses which you can and focus on buying your first property, because once you enter in the market, it will be much easier for you to buy the second property afterwards.
Yeah. I think it's a great advice. And for all the viewers, if you need any more information, you know the drill. The information is right at the bottom of your screen. You can contact Team Aurora for any queries. If you're a first-time buyer or you're a seller, you know where to call. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thanks, Pragya.
This week, India celebrated its 73rd Republic Day on January 26th. Republic Day marks the anniversary of the adoption of country's constitution on January 26, 1950. India won independence from British colonial rule in 1947. This year, amidst COVID-19 restrictions, thousands of people participated in Republic Day celebrations in New Delhi. See our next report to know more. More than 500 school children, folk dancers, military battalions, tableaux, Rafale fighter jets, motor shows and much more. India's 73rd Republic Day celebrations saw thousands of people brave the chilly winter morning in New Delhi, India. Republic Day marks the anniversary of the adoption of the country's constitution on January 26, 1950. India won independence from British colonial rule in 1947. President of India Ram Nath Kovind and Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi were joined by other government dignitaries, ministers and foreign diplomats in this year's celebration. The 90-minute parade ended with a flypast featuring 75 Air Force fighters, including Rafale jets, transport planes and helicopters. The three defense forces of the country, the Army, the Navy and the Air Force, showcased their valor and indomitable spirit through the tableaux. The heroic stunts by an all-women motorcycle team from Border Security Forces caught everyone's attention. Tableaux from various states in India showcase the cultures, traditions and values that makes India one of the most culturally diverse countries in the world. The Indian government announced civilian awards in art, trade, literature, science, social work and other fields. Satyanarayan Nadella and Sundarajan Pichai, the Indian-born American CEOs of Microsoft and Apple Inc. and its subsidiary Google, were among those honored. This year's Republic Day event in India happened amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. With all protocols in place, the event successfully captured the display of the country's military power and cultural diversity. Nina Tangri, Ontario's Associate Minister of Small Business and Red Tape Reduction and MPP for Mississauga-Streetsville, speaks with Bala Menon, Editor-in-Chief of Voice Media Group, about the province's gas tax program and how it will benefit the people of Ontario. She also outlines the steps taken by the government to help small businesses and entrepreneurs in a myriad ways. Take a listen.
Hello and welcome to VNN. We have with us today Nina Tangri, Ontario's Associate Minister of Small Business and Red Tape Reduction and MPP for Mississauga-Streetsville. And today she will tell us about the province's gas tax program and how it will benefit the people of Ontario. Welcome to VNN, Minister Tangri.
Well, thank you so much, Balaji. And first, I want to say a very good afternoon to all the viewers of VWN. It's really a pleasure to join you all today.
Yeah, first, tell us something about this gas tax program of Ontario. I don't think many people know about it. What is behind it?
Yes, Balaji. So the thing is public transit, as we all know, it plays such a critical role right across Ontario by helping so many people get to where they need to go, whether it's to work, to buy groceries, to visit loved ones, to go to medical or business appointments. And it's a huge part of our economic recovery. So what we did is our government, we committed to helping municipalities improve their transit. So right across the province. So this year we are providing from the gas tax $375.6 million through this program. And this actually helps 107 municipalities to help them build better transit. So we're talking about 12 million people that use transit every day. So it's a huge thing.
But just one question. Why over $18 million to Mississauga and only $480,000 to Brampton and Caledon? And why this wide disparity, big disparity, isn't it?
So it's actually the city of Mississauga gets them, but also the region of Peel. So what we have is we have 375 million in total, and then what we did is we added extra funding into this. So for Mississauga, and it's based on the gas tax itself, on how it comes in. And so I haven't compared, to be quite honest with you, with Mississauga and Brampton. I get the Mississauga numbers directly. Yeah. So I'm unaware of what Brampton is getting. But, we see $18 million coming directly to the city of Mississauga to support our transit system. But there's also almost $500,000, so 482,000 going to the region of Peel to help them put together their transit system and expand and improve it. It's just desperately needed throughout the province.
But the problem is, does it mean that Mississauga motorists were driving less and thereby using less fuel so that now they get more gas tax funding? Or
yeah.
Or Mississauga transit system?
Yeah, so you're asking me for the comparison with Brampton, so I'm unable to provide that today. I can certainly find that out on what the comparisons are between the two cities. Our responsibility, of course, is the whole province, but we do tend to look as MPPs at our own either riding or municipality, in our case, Mississauga. So looking at the way that is, it's actually because people have been driving significantly less throughout the pandemic, as we all know, there's actually been a lot less money coming in gas tax. So we actually topped it up. So 120 million of that funding is actually money we've put in there to help the municipalities because, even if there's less people traveling to work, for example, we still need to have the system up and running, and it's still got to be predictable and available for those who need it. Those of us who have a vehicle can get to and from where we need to go so much easier, but those who depend on public transit, we have to make sure we're there for them.
No, but looking at the figures, it looks like, the Mississauga transit performs much better than the Brampton transit. So people are using more transit than their own cars. That's what it looks like, the figures. Anyway, I think we can talk about that later. Any federal funding available to support this program?
So we do work with the federal government on, but this particular program is funding from us at the Ontario government. So, when we look at all the different levels of taxation, so when we go to purchase gas, of course, there's part of it to go to the provincial government, to the federal government, to offset carbon emissions. There's so many different parts, and it's the actual cost of the actual gasoline itself is just a small part of that of what you pay.
2 cents per liter or something. Yeah, that's right. So federal funding is also part of the stream.
So the federal government does provide funding to the province, which we also distribute to as well. Yeah.
Okay. Apart from this, now we all know as Associate Minister of Small Business and Red Tape Reduction. Are there any new initiatives being launched by the ministry?
So there's a lot taking place right now. As you know, this week we opened up those who are businesses, for example, to be able to apply for the energy rebates and property tax rebates. So if you've been fully closed down 100%, for example, a restaurant or a gym, you can apply to have 100% of that rebates come to you. The application is already open for that. And also for all the people, residences and businesses, we've taken now to the off-peak rate. So there are two, so there's two streams right now. You can either be time of use or you can be a tiered rate. So we've taken that away and we've dropped it to 8.2 cents per kilowatt hour. And what that does, that's half of the peak rate. So it will make a difference to each and every one of us. People are at home, they're working from home, their children have been at home. So, you know, it's obvious that the energy costs would go up. So we really wanted to find a way we could help everybody in Ontario. And this was a great way to do that. So you don't have to do anything. You don't have to put an application in. This is automatically done right on your bill directly. So that's really good. And then for businesses coming up in the next couple of weeks, you'll see the opening of the portal for the Small Business Relief Grant that provides a one-time payment of $10,000 to eligible businesses. So if you got the second funding from the government in the previous grant stream last year, and you are one of these eligible businesses, we're going to reach out to you. You don't have to apply. We will send you an email. You have to attest that you are still under 100 employees. You're still in business. And a couple of very quick things you'll send to us, and we will send you the payment straight to your bank account. But for example, if you were a new business, you didn't qualify for that previous grant, you can apply for this one. So you need to show that you have lost at least 20% revenue from December to January, so which is very easy. If you're closed, you're closed. And there's a few other things through the portal that you have to answer questions to. And of course, provided us with your banking information, we will go through each of those applications and then put payment straight into your bank account if you are one of the eligible businesses there.
Will this electricity rebate be extended by some more days or weeks if needed?
So as of right now, we are planning our reopening. So as you know, on January the 31st, the Premier announced yesterday, we will start reopening. So restaurants, gyms, and many of the businesses that were fully closed down can now have 50% capacity. So as we reopen, we will probably not need to have these programs in place as people start being able to go back to work, back to school. The kids are back in school now. So the need to have that additional support for the home costs of energy may not continue, but we'll be checking as we go through for the next few weeks. And as you know, the program just opened 2 days ago, so we wanted to make sure we could support everybody as much as we possibly could. But we have to do this is taxpayers' money. It's your money, so we have to be very responsible and prudent with that funds too.
No, last year, I think the ministry was introducing a bill called the Supporting Recovery and Competitiveness Act. Has it been passed?
Yes, Supporting People and Businesses Act was passed before we rose for the winter break. So that is now legislation. And there were so many wonderful things. For example, a lot of small things from many different ministers. I think we had 17 ministries participate in that bill. And, one of the small things, so for restaurants, for example, we allowed them, because of the pandemic, to extend their patios so that they were closed down for indoor dining. But in the summertime, people do like to sit outside. So we allowed them to expand that area that they could do that. Of course, they have to apply to the municipality. So as long as the municipality was okay with that, they could do it. But that was only a temporary measure. So now we've made that permanent. So as long as the city's okay with it, you can go ahead and do that each and every year. So for those businesses in the restaurant industry, they really do appreciate something similar to that. So there's a lot of very small items that are very impactful for those that they serve. So it's good that we were able to do that.
Business associations have given Ontario an A+ grade in red tape reduction. That's a very good thing. And
there's more coming. There's more we can do, and we're looking to the general public, to the business community, and everyone to bring more ideas if they within their businesses, their professions, their industries, or even as consumers, and you say this particular thing is very difficult to maneuver. We want to make it much easier to do work or business with the government. So we were working on one-stop portals within the government. So if you need a permit or you need something, you just have to click one button. You don't have to go to the Ministry of Environment and then the Ministry of Economic Development and then the Ministry of Health. We want to make it easier for you so you can come to one place and have it all happen right there. We've already opened the business registry portal, which connects to the CRA. So you can register your business very quickly now. It's so much faster.
So that digital one-stop window for approval is now open. It's functioning. Eh?
Yeah, that is already started, but there's more to do. When you think about government ministries, so each of them has their own individual systems. So what we're trying to do, we're building one system that will bring all of those systems in together, just to make it so much easier for everyone. I mean, people shouldn't have to fill out the same information over and over and over again for different ministries. I mean, government's here to help people, not to make it difficult. So we're working on that. It's in the process. So I'm really looking forward to being able to see that do more.
Yeah, I think it's a very good idea to have this ministry for red tape reduction, and that's very good. It should be in all provinces. I don't think they have.
Yeah, not all, some do. I know that Alberta has a minister just of red tape reduction. So we're getting together and discussing things that they're doing, what we're doing, and how we can support each other and learn from each other too, right? There's no, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. If something works well in Ontario, it may work well in other provinces. So we do look at each other and what we're doing on how we can assist each other. And, if something works really well, why not adopt it? And, utilize it in Ontario if it works well in BC or Alberta or elsewhere. So we're doing a lot of that, a lot of cross-jurisdictional work. And a lot of the things we have been doing is the provinces have been working together. We've done a lot of work with Quebec, but we're also collaborating with the federal government and the municipalities, especially through COVID. And people want to see governments working together. They don't want, the federal government saying the provincial government and then the municipalities and regions. They want us to work together. And we've been working very, very hard. The Premier talks to the federal government constantly with his counterparts right across the country. And we've been able to do a lot of work together. And sometimes it's working together to put pressure on the federal government to get us our rapid tests, to get us our PCR testing, to get us the vaccines. It's been a huge challenge, as you can imagine, just getting them here and getting them out into people's arms. I do want to take an opportunity, though, Balaji, if you don't mind. I want to thank you and all the viewers for doing your part. The best way out of this pandemic really is to get your vaccine, and you've really stepped up. You've really been, in Ontario, we're probably leading the pack across the world in vaccinations and even the booster vaccinations. So it really has been great. You've done your part. You've stayed home. You've masked. You've physically distanced. And we really do appreciate the work that everyone. It's been a lot of sacrifice from each and every one, from businesses, and we are seeing light at the end of the tunnel. I know we've said that before, and we're very hopeful that as we see the growth rate of Omicron slowly decline, that we will see less pressure on our hospitals, and we can start really reopening things up and have some normalcy back in our lives.
And recent polls are saying that Doug Ford remains as popular as ever. And the PCs are leading in the polls. That's a good sign for you, isn't it?
Well, you know what? I mean, I have to, as I've known Doug Ford, the Premier, for many years now, and working with him side by side and seeing the work he does. And he's so on the ground, and he's just so genuine. And I think that's what people appreciate, that he's an everyday guy, just really wants to do what's right. At the same time, just balancing everyone's health and safety with our economy, right? So, on the one side, a lot of people want us to have absolutely everything closed down until this is gone. And then on the other side, we want the others who want nothing closed down because it hurts our mental health, it hurts our businesses. Yeah, and then we have to find the right place to put that balance. So how can we keep people safe as safe as possible, protect our healthcare system, but also be able to keep our economy running as well? And, when we think about our supply chain, we know that there are challenges right now, especially with trucking and getting supplies to our grocery stores. If you go, you can see many shelves very empty. That's not a good sign. So we have to be very careful that we continue to keep our supply chain going. So we need food. We all need to eat, right? And I do want to thank all of those on the front lines in the retail stores, the grocery clerks, the frontline healthcare workers. They've really stepped up and protected all of us and made sure that we have everything that we need in our necessities throughout the pandemic.
Thank you, Minister Tangri, and that is a very insightful conversation, and you have given us some idea about how your ministry works and about this gas funding program and about the red tape reduction. Anything else you would like to tell our viewers?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we have a plan put forward, and we announced yesterday on reopening, and we're certainly looking forward to seeing some normalcy back in our lives, that we're able to go and have a meal in a restaurant again, go visit the gym, and finally the New Year's resolutions that we always have each and every year to be fit and healthy. But I just want to once reiterate again, I want to thank each and every one of you, my constituents here in Mississauga, Streetsville, and right across the province, and the messages that you're getting out for us, Balaji. The media, we absolutely have an immense amount of respect for the media, because we do need you to help get that message out to everyone, to stay home, to stay safe, to save lives, to take care of your family. And because of the great work you've been doing, we've been able to get that message out there. So we do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Tangri. Thanks a lot. You heard Minister Tangri talk to us about different programs, and thank you again. Welcome to VNN again. I think we'll have a chance to talk again later.
I'm sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
This week, Voice Group's editor-in-chief Bala Menon did a discussion series with retired Ambassador Praveen Verma about India's 73rd Republic Day, Russia-Ukraine war-like situation, and much more. Listen in.
Hello, welcome to VNN, to our next episode of our discussion series. And we have with us Ambassador Praveen Verma. And today, it's a bit colder today than yesterday.
It is a bit cold, but then it's bright sunshine, so it gives you an impression of being a good day.
But you are wearing your overcoat.
Yeah.
I think there was a wind chill, in the wind chill.
It's a wind chill, it's very bad, yeah.
I don't know how it was in Delhi.
Delhi also it's going cold.
During Republic Day, of course, that must have been a hot affair.
Republic Day has always been a very cold day in India, and especially if you want to see it, you have to reach very early to get your seat.
Yeah.
So it has always been a cold day, and you see it once, and then after that you watch on television.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think that's better. You can see more of a close-up and...
Yeah, quite true, because unless and until you are in one of those VVIP seats, most of the action is over there only. And if you're just ahead of it, then everybody is just finished the act and then a moving on.
Yeah, but this year I think it was quite exciting, isn't it? With masked bands and marching contingents, much more than I thought. There was more fervor than last year. And 75 aircraft flypast.
Flypast was, I'm told, a bit much more technologically advanced, with formation of 75 and all these things going across. So it was a different experience for everybody, because instead of sitting on those stadium type structures, now there was distancing between the seats and all. So it is and plastic seats, not the wooden planks. So it was a different experience this time, and I spoke to a couple of people who went there this time, and they were quite happy of the change which is happening. Of course, this time there was no dignitary.
No dignitary,
and people were masked, and I could see the president taking the salute with mask on. Well, that's the COVID addition to the celebration.
I think security was very, very tight, I believe, because there was the Sikhs were justice threat saying they would not allow Modi to hoist the flag. That fizzled out anyway.
No, of course, there's always a threat in India.
There is, of
course. You face more security in India than you face over here. Like if you are in Delhi and you go into a mall, you go through a metal detector and they frisk you also. Every major place you go in, you have to go through that. Whereas in Canada, you just walk through. So there are more security implications. There was another twist this time in the Republic Day celebration. Was just before that, when they switched the Amar Jawan Jyoti
Oh yes, yeah, to the National War Memorial.
And the Indira Gandhi loyalists sort of complained that this is wiping away the history.
Of 1971.
1971.
But there was no mention of no names of soldiers of 1971 mentioned there in that.
No,
that
India Gate has mentions only Indian soldiers who died in World War I.
World War I and II. So it was not 71.
So all the soldiers who died in 1971, they are included in the
National War Memorial.
National War
so
Memorial.
I think then that is the main
thing.
memorial.
And they went through the whole procedure of sort of taking a flame from here transferring it over there.
They said merged.
Emotionally, one would say that,
Yeah.
okay, why did you stop it? But then practically, I would say maintaining two flames at two places and VIPs having to visit one flame and then the other flame, that would have been a protocol, sort of a additional, does not fit into the scheme of real protocol.
Of course, the critics were saying, if you're thinking of now VIPs from abroad coming and it's for that, it is not a tourist attraction. It's to be a war memorial. It's a memorial for fallen soldiers.
So, but then
there are
Indira Gandhi loyalists would have a point and an emotional issue. But then on practical terms, it was a thing which was sort of streamlined and brought everything in line with the war memorial. So now all soldiers are being remembered in the war memorial. The old structures are not demolished. The reverted gun is still there.
So gun and the helmet. And then of course, the statue of King George, that was removed. Now
that was removed long time ago.
68, I believe.
61 or 68, in the 60s. Okay. And now they decided to put Netaji's statue over there, and they've already installed a hologram over there, which is there. That even people have some
irony,
problems
isn't it? King George V, and that's under the canopy. What's happening in Ukraine now? Coming to that, now Biden has said that he will not send American troops to Ukraine.
Even the Canadians have not said that they will not.
Canadians have sent 60 soldiers, as I think they said, ostensibly to guard the embassy and to
but
help
not
in any
For the
evacuation.
front, not for the war purposes. Only 2 days today was saying that they would support them with some
weapons,
some equipment, but then they would want the matter to be sorted out diplomatically and discussions.
You think that will help? You think that can really?
I'll tell you, I don't believe that Russia will attack Ukraine. It is, I mean, if you go and see the map, the map of the Eastern Europe, most of the states have joined NATO. Ukraine and Georgia, a couple of them which are left out. And so Russians are now flexing their muscles that
don't give membership to Ukraine.
Ukraine, if you be giving membership to Ukraine, to NATO will be a sort of something which
it's their doorstep, that's the thing.
Their doorstep, it's their front line. And they say that this is our hinterland, it is the Russian territory. It was, and it is still a Russian civilizational heritage area. So don't come here. And that's where Russians are trying to emphasize with the Europeans that here we have drawn the line, and that is there. Now, if Europe start give a membership, that would be sort of instigating them and provoking the Russians to come. But otherwise, I don't see Russians moving into Ukraine without any provocation by the Europeans or the Americans.
But who's right in this way? I mean, I know Eastern Ukraine is mainly Russian speaking, and they favor the Russians. Western Ukraine is not. So I think, I don't know, if both sides have something right.
Who was right in the Cuban crisis?
Yeah, that's true.
And the Monroe Doctrine. These are political issues where right and wrong goes into a gray area. Political considerations are more important. So Russians are for good or for bad. I'm not speaking for the Russians, but they have taken a position. Okay, here. Please stay away from here, and
we'll stay away.
And we'll stay away. Period as that.
But you see, the former president of Ukraine had joined an alliance with Russia.
Yeah.
trade alliance, etc. And then, of course, he was ousted. And then the new president
new
is now pro-NATO. So, you see,
So
there are a
there's-
lot of complications within that area, isn't it? How do you diffuse this thing? That's the thing. How to diffuse this?
No, you see, this is something which slowly will evolve into a
Sort of
harmonious
stalemate.
situation, yeah, stalemate or something like that. Because just like any political system, they have got in Ukraine. I would understand that the political position would be whether you are pro-Russian or anti-Russian.
Yeah.
Elections will be fought on that, and one election will be won by A and another election won by B. So they will keep on interchanging till a sort of a understanding is built between the countries. Like NATO is there, and in the Cold War period,
I think that'll continue.
it was a situation that what do we do? We thought that someday the West and the East will fight. Cold War has diffused now.
Russia is blowing hot and cold here because the diplomat, the foreign minister said, "Oh, we are not going to attack. There's no aggression here." Putin said, "Oh, we will use conventional forces if necessary."
If
So,
necessary,
if
if
necessary, of
necessary, yes, of course. That is good boy, bad boy. You understand all these things.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But the problem is, what impact does this have on the world economy? Isn't it? Now, as it is, they are still blaming the rise in oil prices on this Ukrainian problem. So we don't know how that will
Well,
affect it.
any crisis happens and the oil prices go up because you direct some of your resources over there,
Yeah.
attention is diverted. But the fact remains that the oil production in the world is much less than what is the requirement, especially
true,
in the Western countries. In USA itself, their production and their import combined together is less than what they need actually.
And Canada
So
is
then
not
the prices will
encouraging
go
it.
up,
It will go up,
definitely will go up. And it's winters anyway, so it will go up and all of us are suffering. COVID gave us some relief that all the prices.
Today the price is $1.50.
Yeah,
And it will go up again. It will not come down again. Anyway.
I don't think it will come down. It will, unless and until there is a production increase, and but OPEC has stuck its own thing. So.
That's true. Going back to India, I mean, did you hear about this former Indian Vice President Hamid Ansari attending a virtual conference in a U.S. congressional briefing and talking
U.S.
about
congressional
India?
briefing for whom?
I don't know, just conducted by some anti-India organizations. Rather.
Just like similar things are happening over here, where one organization sort of props up some support, and these are essentially anti-India institutions.
But that's what I was saying. Was he breaching protocol, or it's a bit unethical that he was a vice president of India for about, I think, 10 years, and then he goes and talks bad about the electoral politics of India. Although during his time he had no problems. That was a Congress majority rule at that time. Now he says, "Oh, BJP is in a majority, so things are bad." So this sort of.
He has been a vice president, which is a constitutional post. He was not a minister in the Congress government all that. So I would think that he should maintain some sort of aloofness from the political discourse of Congress versus the BJP. Because as a diplomat, even also, when he was ambassador for a long time, he served both the governments. Served for the BJP government and served for the Congress government. So he has been on both the sides. His family history is totally aligned with Congress. That is a different situation. I would feel he should have refrained it, but then he has the full liberty in India, as in the democratic world. You have freedom of speech, so you do go and speech. But where I speak, I should know what I should speak and
who the other panelists are, because I mean all the other panelists are known India baiters. So I mean, for him to go and talk against India when he's enjoying all the perks of a retired life of a retired vice president. I mean, he has his own bungalow and car and secretaries, and then
quite
he does
true.
this. It looks a bit out of place, isn't it?
Definitely, I would say he should have been more.
How should the government react?
Government How do we react over here when all these seminars happen? There's nothing much, and these Zoom meetings have become something which you really it doesn't need any money.
Yeah.
It just needs some paperwork or some sort of a coordination work by some
invite a lot of
organization,
people and,
then you do it. So really, you cannot keep on following every Zoom meeting and saying that okay. It was the vice president who was speaking, and somebody caught it, and it came in the papers. But then, I don't see how government can react on all these petty matters, smaller matters.
Another very interesting thing was the prince of the Congress prince, Rahul Gandhi. He apparently writes a letter to the Twitter CEO saying, "Why my numbers, the number of followers lower than Narendra Modi?" And he says, "I am losing followers, and Modi is gaining followers," and he blames Twitter.
The way he says it made it funny,
A bit strange, yes.
made it foolish, made people laugh. But he was making a point in the sense that
Yeah, that's
Twitter
true.
had blocked his tweets on a particular date.
Okay.
And after that particular blockage, it was reinstated. But the fall in his additional viewing or following has completely stopped after that date.
Oh, okay. So somebody in Twitter.
So there could be some foul play also. Somebody has not opened all the channels to be opened. But the way he has said it, it's
Yeah,
so
that is
funny.
writing a letter and then making it public,
And
saying
maybe
that okay.
the whole letter and his annexures, you can get it on internet
it's on the
and see,
internet,
and he's made a graph,
Yeah.
and it says everything is even compared with Shashi Tharoor, that he's getting more and mine has gone straight down. If you see the graph, it has gone straight down.
I mean, I don't think he's himself doing it. He must be having a staff who does this, a social media staff who's doing it. But I don't think maybe he has a capability, I don't know. But I don't think it was him.
I
But anyway,
think-
it becomes a laughing stock. That's the problem.
Yeah,
see.
but then he has always been like that, so, and that's why you had the liberty of calling him the Prince of Congress.
Yeah, the crown prince, and those British thing is the crown
I will
prince,
not
the
say
clown
that.
prince. No.
You have journalistic liberty, I don't have.
Anyway, then of course, now coming to Canada, of course, the vaccine thing is getting a little problematic now because I think a minority of people are refusing to take the vaccines.
That's all over the world.
Yesterday, there was a big truck convoy, and they apparently collected about $7 million in donations to all this truck rally. And they said $1 million worth of fuel has been used by the trucks, $1 million. The rest, they said they will donate it to charities. But yesterday on television, they were showing people standing in Toronto highway, the bridges, and waving at the truckers, supporting them. Their stance saying, "We don't need vaccines. Or we don't need a vaccine mandate, rather." That's more important.
Anti-vaxxers or non-vaxxers have their support in a very small segment of the people all over the world, and even in India.
So there's not much
Well,
difference. They couldn't find
it all depends on which pharmaceutical company
Company
is
has
able
more
to spend
advantage.
how much money on the publicity and to sell their
lobbying
own goods. Yes.
and what else, yeah.
But India has been sort of
On its own, it has done well.
and the vaccines are going all over the world, and we are donating it all over the world, and it's working. It's working, and then of course. Under the Covaxin program, I think things are going on. So the sooner the majority of the world population is at least vaccinated, it's better. And you and I know that we'll have to do a booster every year. Just like what is it called? The other vaccine.
flu vaccine.
Flu vaccine. Or flu. Although we take the shot, we still have it.
Yeah.
So once you have one, today I haven't had it. But I am thinking that you don't know whether I have had it or not, and you don't know.
That's true, of course. Anyway, that's interesting. Anyway, thank you for watching VNN, and we'll thank you, Praveen.
Not at all.
And we'll meet again next week to continue our discussion series. Thank you for watching. Thank you.
And that is it in today's episode of the Weekly Show. We would love to hear your thoughts on the show, so type in the comment section and tell us what you think. You can follow us on our social media handles, and if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe us so that you can get all the updates. Thanks for watching.